Hey Splinterheads, welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for dropping by. If you're not new here, still thanks for dropping by. And in fact, I want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed and liked my videos, because today we crossed that 200 subscriber mark. Never thought I would get there. It took me a while. In fact, if you go back into the fall of last year when I first started making these videos, you can probably track my beard growth. It took a while before I actually, came on screen because I needed to get the camera and everything. Anyway, thank you to everybody who likes and subscribes to my video. Now, with that said, yesterday I dropped what I was doing right in the middle of the town hall as soon as they announced Zyriel and the facts around the new promo card, and made a video and dropped it to try to be the first one on the street. It wasn't my intent in that video to really put any, facts, or what I wanted to do was present the facts and not an opinion in that video, okay? Because I just wanted to get the news out there, okay? So, I've given it a day, and there's lots of people who have put their videos out now, and I've purposefully not watched anybody's opinion piece on the card because I wanted to be straight up and tell you what I thought about it. First of all, if you haven't got the basic facts, I will link this news item on the new card and in the show notes, and you can go back and watch my previous one. But we'll go over the basics. But this is more of kind of like what I think about the card after ruminating on it for a day and thinking about it, right? So initially, I think I was very excited because, one, I think the artwork is great, just right up front. Artwork's great. Nate and his art team are doing great things with the game, right? So great things with the cards. They're putting out good desktop artwork to put across your desktop. They're doing all kinds of good things, okay? So the theme is great, right? So Fallen Angel, great thematic elements, because it's death and life, or life that fell from the heavens and went to death, kind of like the thematic elements within Diablo 3, if you follow. Love it. Also, back in the day, Magic the Gathering, around Revised, I loved playing a black and white deck. I loved stealing people's cards with those hypnotic specters, if you're old enough to be with me, right? So I loved all those. So when they announced this and showed it, I was all on board, right? Until they got to the price point. And then I kind of fell back a little bit, okay? So we know about the price, okay? It's pretty expensive, right? Team needs to make a profit. This is going to be a limited edition, very few sold, comparatively speaking, compared to the rest of the cards, right? So we'll get into that in a minute, but I liked it up front until I hit the price, right? So the card's a black and white, okay, death and life. It's a ranged card, and it has several powers, which are I dug into today and kind of went through the rest of the cards that could possibly be paired with it and form good combinations. Now, I'm going to stop it. I just did a cursory look through, right? I'm sure there's going to be somebody that comes up with this really awesome, powerful combination that works in like 1 in 100 hands, right? But let's go ahead and go on. So they announced that, first of all, well, I reversed there. It's limited to 15,000, right? So why does this keep going? Okay, so let's go ahead and say that. So it's limited to 15,000 BCX. As a legendary, you're going to need 11 BCX to make a max level one, right? So not all of us need max level ones. And you start thinking about the powers and you look at the powers, because initially there's no way I would buy a max level one. With the prices involved, that's just way out of my league, okay? I think this is really for three types of people, right? One, whales. Whales are going to whale. They're going to come in. They got tons of money to throw around. They've got enough money to buy what they want. Hey, if that's what floats your boat, go for it. The second is collectors, okay? People who are really into collecting cards and have joined Splinterlands, and they play the game, but they're more in it from a collection point of view. And there's a lot of people that are completionists. They want to try to have at least one of everything, okay? And the third person is an investor, okay? So the investors come in and buy these high-end cards for the sake of possibly making a good profit on the back end, you know? So, and you'll notice that, I mean, I guess there's possibly a fourth type of person, a player, but as we'll get into this a little bit, I have not seen a lot of play uses. Not to say that she's not playable, but I don't think she's 80,000 DEC playable at 1 BCX, okay, or per BCX. So let's continue. So, and let's talk about that. So they listed the price as 80,000 DEC, or you could supplement that and go in with some vouchers, and the vouchers they valued at 25 cents, which I have it from at least one node holder who's unhappy that they only valued vouchers at 25 cents. It brings the price down. But I was just kind of interested because I'm not a crypto, I don't follow crypto a lot on a daily basis. I will check whenever I go to have to make a purchase in game or something rather relatively large, like I'm going to buy a land or something like that. I want to know what my conversion rates are going to be like that and everything. So I don't really follow DEC. I know that in the last month it was approaching $1, the peg value, right? Well, I just happened to look over here because I wanted to, see how much one of these would cost. So, it's hovering around 82 cents per thousand, right? So if you do the math, I pulled up my calculator here, we're talking about roughly $66 per BCX, okay? And let's go ahead and scroll down through here. And they also, why do I keep doing that? They also pointed out that if you buy 25 BCX, I say that and I try not to laugh because it's said in the town hall with a straight face, like your average person can go in and buy buy 25. Well, I get a gold one, To me, that just eludes me because to me, that's a lot of money, to put it frank. So let's just do some multiplication here. Times 25. I know I'm not showing my calculator, but I'm doing it here. So that's roughly $1,600. Let me do that again. 65. Yeah, a little bit over 1,600 US dollars. That's a lot of money. So with that said, if you do buy 25, you're guaranteed at least one gold. Of course, the caveat's always there. You could get more than one gold, but you'll get at least one gold. Okay, so let's keep going. I think I beat up the price enough. Okay, so let's talk about the actual card. Here's the card, and here's what we're talking about, the different powers. Okay, so she's black and white, as we said, and she's ranged. She starts out with relatively low health. She stays relatively low health, and she's slow. I mean, she's on the slow side, right, with only 2 speed. She starts out with 3 damage and 4 life, 2 speed, right? Now, you kick that up to level 2, and you add an extra damage up to 4. And that's what you pick up to level 2. Now, to me, that's kind of like the sweet spot where your average person would come in and they would probably either do a level 1 or level 2, right? And that's just even besides the point of the powers she has. So at level 1, she's going to have weapons training and life leech. Okay, so weapons training, as we know, is one of the newer powers that allows her to allot some of her power, part of her power, to those surrounding her cards that happen to not have any attack. And then life leech augments her health as she does damage to other characters. It adds health to her, right? So at lower levels, this is relatively, it's all this is arguable, right? Because we haven't got into using her. We don't know the specific use cases as far as what cards she goes well with. I did a quick summary scroll through on the cards in black and white that have no attack powers, and you'd really have to build the hand, really, at least most of the hand would have to be built right around her. But I immediately did not really see any summoners that would really, work well with her. Let's go ahead and take a look at life and death summoners. We're over here on the marketplace. Let's go to black and white and just look at the summoners. I think that the relatively, and I'm kind of scrolling down. Obviously, when you go with some of the more expensive summoners that the whales are going to have, you might be able to find a little bit better because some of these are overpowered. But I'm thinking of the newer batch of summoners. Ilthane might work well because of the speed. I was really trying to... Let's pare that down to summoners. Yeah, I think Ilthane, possibly General Sloan if you're going to build out the rest of your hand with range. But General Sloan is kind of on the weak side. Yeah. So anyway, I guess my main point is possible astral entity. I guess my main point is nothing really jumped out that says, wow, this is a summoner that will work well with her, right? So let's go back here. Now, as you kick it up a notch and you add 3 cards together to get to level 2, you pull up, took me a minute, Divine Shield. So obviously that helps with any character, especially low life characters. This is going to fit into a higher mana match being 7. So you're possibly going to get sniped or attacked with a relatively high attack value. And it possibly could take her out with 1 or 2 hits, right? So that Divine Shield is really, I think, where it needs to be. And what's that say? I mean, obviously, she picks up Rust as well, which helps out as you go forward in level 3 and level 4. But I think what that tells me is that I don't think this is a card at level 1 that would be a great card to use for somebody like in bronze. I don't think that this card would be good money spent for a person just coming into the game and trying to build up the power of their decks. Obviously, it's really expensive. There are a lot of things you can do with that money to build up your deck besides this. So that's a brief look at her. Obviously, once she gets into play, people will find some ways to use her. But for the money and how much it's costing to level her up, I was expecting a almost this close to being an overpowered card, if you know what I mean, right? So Either way, I mean, they go on in the article to discuss that, hey, one of the benefits is she can be used in a life or death hand. So that's, I mean, that's more utility, right? So you buy one card and kind of like a neutral, but different, right? So you can use it in two different colors. So it's a little bit more utility, especially this might look more favorable for you if you play a lot of life and death, right? So I will say that. Let's scroll on down here. They talk about being multi-element, divine shield, 7 mana. And then they go on to talk about the either 80,000 SPS, or, sorry, 80,000 DEC or 40,000 DEC or credits with 160 vouchers. Now, I will tell you, by the price of DEC now, if you're relatively new to the game and you're interested in this card, buy DEC and use that instead of credits because it'll cost you less. Okay, so instead of the full, if you go in and buy her with credits, you're spending $80 versus roughly 65 right now. So if you spend on DEC. So, with that said, I think I've covered most everything that I wanted to. Let's round this up. Okay, so I'm tempted to buy one BCX just because I'm a player, but I'm also a collector, right? Um, and I don't have this huge monumental collection, but I do like to. I am very tempted by cards that are limited production and might possibly go up. And this is not investment advice, as I always say. But I just there's no way I'm going to level this thing up, and I'm trying to ask myself, is it worth the $65, $70, whatever, for a 1 BCX card with limited, really playable value to me right now? That's a question I'll just have to keep ruminating on. Otherwise, this has been Bronze Dragon. I do appreciate your time. If you appreciate this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And I hope everyone where you're at are happy and healthy. And I will see you on the flip side.